It's been about 18 months since I've been running Trelis Research, so it's time for some channel updates. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm going to talk about how all of the content, the tutorials and tools are organized. And for those who are already following along, well, thanks very much, first of all. And what I hope to do here is explain what I plan to continue to support in terms of models and scripts, and also get your feedback on my thoughts for where I'm going with the content I'm going to create from here. Trelis Research is all about AI tutorials and tools. These are organized into 5 different categories now. So there's fine-tuning, inference, vision, audio, and evals. Each of these categories has got a playlist. I've put a link here. I'll put a link to this presentation down below in the description, and also has an associated GitHub repo with the scripts and tools for that given category. Now, I'm going to talk later in the video in detail about the content that's in each of these repos and in the collection of videos. So you can skip through to that and kind of pick and choose what you're interested in. But for now, I'll give a very quick rundown, and then I'm going to give a succinct update on some of the new things coming to the channel over the next 3 months. So in the fine-tuning category, I cover data preparation, so how to prepare data and then fine-tune using that data. I cover large transformer models like Llama and Qwen, but I also cover embeddings models and fine-tuning and using those models in order to do retrieval or RAG. In terms of inference, I focus on how you set up APIs, how you set up servers. I also cover how to optimize inference to get the best speed and lowest cost. And then I have a section on setting up your own retrieval system using Postgres. That's avoiding any third-party vector databases or servers that might add cost or latency. In the vision category, I talk about how to, again, prepare data to fine-tune models of 2 types. First of all, diffusion models that allow you to go from text into images, like I create the thumbnail for my videos. And second of all, multimodal models that take in images and text and allow you to fine-tune those models on, again, a custom data set that I help you to generate. In the audio database, or rather the audio category, I talk about a few things. One is whisper type models, going from speech to text transcription. I talk about dataset prep and fine-tuning too. And then the other direction, going from text to speech. There's also coverage of multimodal audio models. Actually, there's mainly only one right now that's out, the Qwen audio model that takes in audio or text and generates text. Then the last category, which is a recent category of videos, there's only 2 being released so far. It's the evals category. Here I talk about how to measure the performance of an overall LLM system. And then given the metrics of performance, how do you improve that system? So all of these tutorials are free on YouTube. I also publish them on X, and you can get them via email or newsletter if you subscribe on trelis.substack.com. With respect to the repos, you can buy lifetime access to each repo, or you can buy them all as a single bundle for a significant discount. Now, a new thing I've started is allowing repo access via an annual subscription. And for that, you can check out each of the repo links here. You can purchase an annual subscription to any of the repos, or you can purchase a subscription annual to a bundle of all those repos. And I should say that if you buy a bundle, either lifetime or annual, Discord access is included to the private Trelis Discord. So for schedule over the next few months, and you'll have noticed this over the last few weeks, I aim to publish most Mondays at 2 p.m. Irish time with a tutorial, and then have a news briefing on Fridays at 9 a.m. Irish time. I've just linked a playlist to the news briefing so far. If you want some odd ad hoc banter or questions, usually I do a lot of my research with the help of Twitter. So you can follow Trelis Research on X. I sometimes try to post to Substack, but it's hard to duplicate there all the time. For something new, I've kicked off a developer collab program. Previously, this was the internships program. But what it allows is for you to collaborate with me on a tutorial and a piece of a repo or one of these categories. And it gets you in front of channel members. I've had 2 collaborators so far, Shagar Desai and Rohan Sharma. Rohan's done quite a few videos, and he told me that he had people reach out after to him because of the exposure on the channel. So I'm hoping to help get more developers in front of this audience. And you can apply through this link here. The Trelis Grants program has been running now for over half a year. I think they're getting up on a dozen grantees so far. These are fast grants for building AI tools, and you must have a pathway to generating revenue. As a new feature, alumni may be considered for a 10K safe investment at the end of the grant period. You can apply at this link. And again, another new feature I'm trying is a twice annual online meetup for grant alums. So you can have pairwise discussions, kind of in a fishbowl type setting. And I'll jump in as well to chat with all of the alums. For something new again, I'm going to take a look at YouTube memberships. This is a new way to support the channel. Completely optional, of course, but you can learn more by going to youtube.com/Trelis Research. This is actually the playlist, but if you see here, there's a button now called Join. And I've kept it simple, so I'm open to suggestions for improving this. But there are 3 levels. There's Explorer, there's Attention Seeker, which has priority reply from comments, and then Transformer, which will have early access to videos. Now, typically for the Monday video, I record on Saturday, and for the Friday video, I record on Thursday. So if it's fun to get a little head start and you want to support the channel, this is a new option that I'm going to try out. So that pretty much brings me to the updates, but I'm now going to spend some time talking through each of the 5 categories: fine-tuning, inference, vision, audio, and evals. I want to talk through what I'm going to continue to support, so you have a sense for that in terms of data set and fine-tuning. And also I want to talk about what direction I plan to go in for each of those categories in terms of the videos I'm going to create. So yeah, I'll go through each in detail. You might just want to skip using the timestamps in the description below. The first category to look at is fine-tuning. And my broad picture for fine-tuning here is covering text-based LLMs and providing tools so you can not just fine-tune, but prepare the data. There's a lot of info out there on fine-tuning on the internet, but there's a bit less on how to create good data. So that tends to be a focus of the videos that I make. Now, to date, this is the largest of the repos. It's actually split into branches, so there's a separate branch for every video that I make. I'll just quickly go through some of the branches that are there. One of my recommended branches, if you're going to start with data generation, is this synthetic generation video. It helps you to automate the process of data generation for a custom application. There's then a distillation branch, allowing to use more powerful models to distill faster, cheaper models. This can be done using private APIs like OpenAI, or it can be done by distilling open source models to smaller ones. I support single GPU fine-tuning. For example, you can take a look at the Unslot branch, but also I have branches on multi-GPU or low VRAM multi-GPU, including using techniques like Galore, which is a gradient approximation type approach that allows you to get the quality of full fine-tuning, but without so much VRAM. So yeah, I generally try to support both the single GPU and multi-GPU approaches to fine-tuning. Also, while I support the larger models like say Llamas and Qwens, I also support fine-tuning embeddings. I think this is less talked about, but retrieval performance is very important if you're building an overall system, and choosing the right models, getting the right generalization matters a lot to performance and accuracy. So I talk a lot and have recently talked about some of the cutting edge models like Modern BERT and the approaches like CDE, that's contextual document embeddings. Now, a few other things I'll highlight here. I cover not just standard fine-tuning, but also techniques like ORPO and DPO. These are preference-based approaches. I discuss how to create preference datasets. This is helpful for aligning the behavior of a model in a certain direction. Function calling has become less important over the last year or two as a form of fine-tuning, because many models are fine-tuned for function calling out of the box, or now more commonly called tool calling. But there are some things that are still relevant, like quantization. I think the needs for quantization in production have changed a bit. There's always been a lot of talk for computer running models on your local computer by using, say, 4-bit or 2-bit. But I think the real production use case for quantization is making 8-bit models, because they run faster and cheaper if you're trying to deploy commercially without degrading quality so much. So the neural magic type quantization, I think, is very useful. It's still relevant there. And this is a quick overview of what's in that supervised, or rather advanced fine-tuning repo, and a reflection of the videos that are out there as well. The next category I want to look at is inference. In terms of the repo, this is one of the broadest in terms of its coverage. It's separated by folders. Everything is in the main branch. The main sections of the repo are around server setup and then around API calls. So for server setup, I explain how to set up RunPod and VastAI servers, or how to set up a server on an EC2 instance. In terms of API calls, I cover many techniques. So I cover speed tests if you want to compare different LLMs, data extraction in JSON format or YAML format, some advanced RAG techniques using LLMs. And I also cover some of the more modern inference approaches around context caching and predictions. This is relevant where you're sending in the same prompt or similar prompt multiple times and it's very long. You can save on cost and speed with the main model providers by using context caching. Predictions is a similar idea where you know a lot of your answer, but not all of it. Like in code, you often know most of the answer except for 1 or 2 lines. By inputting that as a guess, you can again save on speed and sometimes cost in some cases too. Some other key sections in the inference repo, which I said is pretty broad, but I have videos on YouTube that cover how to ensure a language model replies with citations that are verified by cross-checking with the background text. I cover privacy. This is where you might want to redact personal info before it goes into LLM calls. I also cover security, which is not that much talked about, but if you're going to production, you might want to understand how to set up quick classifiers before and after sending content into LLMs to make sure that there's nothing malicious or there's no data that's being leaked you don't want. Now, there's also a section here on DSPY. This is a prompting technique that allows you to choose and optimize your few-shot prompts when you're doing inference. It also allows you to run agents, and agents is something I'm going to be including more of within this repo here on inference. I've been holding off because I want to kind of let things settle and see the approaches out there, but quite soon I'm going to put in some inference scripts here on agents. And that's the overview of the inference repo. By the way, for any of these, you can read more on what the repo contents are, and you can see a full list of videos just by going to any of these links. So on trelis.com, if I click learn more, you'll see a description of the repo, but you'll also see a list of all of the videos right down at the bottom here. And as I said, you can check those out via the playlist as well if you go to Trelis YouTube and then check out the playlist. Or you can find them in the link below to the presentation because I've got the links to each of the playlists right here. Okay, moving on. So now I want to talk about, what is it? Advanced vision. So there are 2 model types here. One is diffusion, if you want to go from text into image. The model I support is Flux. I expect they'll release an updated model at some point, which I would plan to support as well. Currently, there's support for fine-tuning, data prep, and inference on Flux. The other model type is multimodal. This is text plus images. The strongest model here is the Qwen-VL model, which I highly recommend if you need to fine-tune a larger model. I also have support for Llama 3.2 Vision and Pixtral. Not quite as strong, but they are Western models if kind of censorship considerations or preferences are a factor. Now, the third type of model I will tend to support is the small vision models. The reason for this is because they're useful in edge devices. You want to have a quick detection model. And Florence 2, I think, is the most versatile and also the best supported by tooling right now. I provide tools for dataset preparation, for bounding box detection, for labeling, and for region detection. I also have some support for Moondream, although the fine-tuning support is not quite as good. I have a video that will come out soon around gaze detection using Moondream 2. But going forward, I plan to generally support the strongest of the multimodal vision models in open source, both on the Chinese side and the Western side, and then also support a smaller model that is capable of doing more local type inference. Moving to advanced transcription, maybe not the best name for the repo because it covers much more than transcription. It does cover fine-tuning transcription models like Whisper. It covers inference techniques using faster Whisper and the cTranslate2 library, which allows for speed up in doing transcription. The repo also and the videos, corresponding videos, contain content on going the other direction, so text to speech. Now, this here does support dataset prep and fine-tuning. I think the text-to-speech models are still a bit clunky, so I'm hoping to add in a cleaner implementation of a simpler architecture over the next while. Now, there's another type of model that's included here, which is audio. This model is not talked about a lot. It's a Qwen model that can take in both audio and text and then give out text. I think that's quite useful. I expect that over the next year, there'll be an end-to-end audio model, maybe from Llama, maybe from Qwen, maybe somebody else. But when that comes out, I plan to support it, because right now, the speech-to-speech models, they tend to be cobbled together and they're just kind of difficult to use in practice in production. So this is transcription, and these are the kind of lines that I'll continue to support and make videos about. Now, the last category here is advanced evals, and this is the newest category I've been creating content for, because people care about knowing whether their LLM system is accurate and how does it perform, and if it performs badly, how do they improve it? In fact, that's what the first two videos cover. The first is, how do I make a data set to evaluate performance? Usually in business, it's not, you can't just go to your Hugging Face and find an eval data set for your application. Usually applications are more bespoke. And so that means being able to create a data set either for your customer or with your customer. And that's what the first video is about. The second video then takes as a starting point that you have evaluated your LLM pipeline. You know where the score is, but you want to improve it, either through prompting or few shot examples. And the direction I see this repo going is, over time, being able to support more complex pipelines like retrieval supported, also supporting agent type flows, and then supporting multimodal, things like vision and audio inputs, as well as text. So that's an overview of the 4 main categories of content that I'm creating. Maybe there's a 5th, I'm not sure. Let me know, or a 6th rather. Let me know if you think there might be a 6th I'd eventually create, or let me know your feedback on what I just said about the direction I'm taking for each of these repos. In the meantime, that's pretty much it. I'll be back with Trelis news fairly soon this week, and cheers for following. Appreciate it, folks.